Well, hello, my friends. Thank you for tuning in for yet another topic for this week. When it comes to experiencing loss, we are all going to experience it. Whether it's a loss of a loved one, a loss of a relationship, a loss of items, of things in our lives, a loss of time, a loss of money, a loss of a career, a loss of a dream, you are going to experience loss. Loss is going to happen. And one of the things that I have found for myself and when I've spoken with other people is that we all kind of have a similar question when it comes to loss. Why is this happening to me? Now, I have some unconventional questions to ask yourself. Besides that question, why is this happening to me? I find that that question is definitely one, especially at the beginning of loss, that we ask ourselves. And I don't think anything's necessarily wrong with that question. Because when you're experiencing loss, you're just trying to process so many different emotions, so many different things that are going on. You're trying to connect with yourself. You're not able to. You're just feeling kind of like in this limbo. And this is why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to make this video to give you some things that, like I said, are unconventional. They are not your normal, typical, you're going to go to a counselor and they're going to ask you this about your loss. But I believe these questions, for me anyways, have been the most instrumental in my life. They may not be conventional, but they were the most helpful. I felt the most hope from them. I felt like I could go on. I felt like that it wasn't a loss, it was a gain. A little bit in some way. And that is why I want to offer these questions to you. Now, when it comes to loss, we kind of react differently when it comes to loss. And these are three things that I have kind of found when it comes to loss, the way that we react, these three different ways. One, we can isolate ourselves. Right? We don't want to be around anybody. We don't want to talk to anybody. We don't want to hurt anybody. We just rather be with ourselves. We don't want to, cause any problems with anybody else. So we just want to isolate ourselves. I know that feeling. I understand that feeling. I've been in that feeling as well. So isolating yourself. Another way that we respond to loss is we want to tell everybody about our loss. We want to let everybody know about our loss. We want to talk about our loss. We find ourselves talking about it a lot. And we feel like that's the way that we need to be getting it out, right? Is to share our loss and to keep on sharing our loss. And I've been there as well, where I just want to tell everybody about my loss. And I've been in that place as well. The third way is we want to just go on with our everyday life and not even acknowledge our loss. Like, sure, it happened. Yes, people might say something and we're like, yep, okay. And then we want to go on. And sometimes we even want to do more activity than what we did before when it comes to that loss. So we either kind of go back to our normal routine or we maybe add on even a little bit more, but we don't mention our loss. And that's a third way that we might respond when it comes to loss. Now, the first thing I want to offer is that when it comes to loss with those three responses, I believe that there's a place for every one of those responses in loss. I kind of look at it as going, it's a third, and a third. Like at a third of the time, you might want to isolate yourself and not be around people. And that's okay. And be okay with it and feel like this is what I need to be doing. This is for myself. I need to do this. Another third of the time is that I need to be talking with people about it. I need to share what's going on, how I'm experiencing my loss. Another third is I need to go on with my everyday activity. I need to still kind of find that balance in there. I need to make sure that I'm continuing forward, even though I'm experiencing this loss. So I believe there's kind of a combination when it comes to those three different ways that we kind of show up when it comes to loss in our life. So I think there's isolation is fine. Talking about it is fine. And just doing your everyday that you did before is fine. I don't think anything's gone wrong with you when it comes to any three of those. I find that there's a balance throughout it, and that's going to be for you to figure out. For me, it's kind of a third, and a third. Like when I kind of respond that way, I know that I'm kind of even keeled, that I'm expressing about it, but that I'm still doing my everyday thing. I'm spending time with myself about it. I'm reflecting on it. So I'm kind of doing those things when it comes to experiencing and being able to process the loss that I'm having. Now, here's when it comes to the unconventional questions that I want to offer to you to maybe ask yourself when it comes to loss in your life. Now, this first question is kind of the key to the other two questions. And the first question is, how is this loss perfect for you? Now, that can be a really hard question to answer. But this is why I want to ask this question to you. And this is what I found it gave me. It gave me hope. It showed me that through loss, I was able to experience some things that I could not have experienced otherwise. And I would not have understood or have known about or have experienced on a deeper level. And through the loss, this was perfect for me to experience this. I've heard it been said before with people that have experienced loss that I would never have wished this to happen to anybody, but, right? They say that, but I've created relationships. I've had connections. I've been able to understand things I never could have understood before. So I want to say, maybe it's not but, it's I would have never wanted to experience this, and I've created connections. I've understood things. I've been able to connect myself to things deeper than I ever have before because of it. So when it comes to loss, how is this loss perfect for you? What are the connections you're creating? What are the miracles you're seeing before your eyes because of this loss? What is the depth of your relationship with yourself or with your higher power? For me, that is God. So what was my connection with that is deeper than it's ever been before because of loss? Because this is perfect for me. Because I see the connections. I see what it's doing for me, and it's working through me. And what a blessing that really is. So when it comes to loss, that's a question we can ask ourselves. How is this loss perfect for me? The next question you might want to ask yourself and explore when it comes to loss is, how do I want to use this time? When I think about loss, the interesting thing is that when it comes to loss, it's interesting how things just kind of freeze, stand still, right? Time stands still. So how do you want to use that time? What do you want to do with that? Do you want to journal? Do you want to read? Do you want to reflect? Do you want to connect to other people? Do you want to talk to people more? Do you want to write about it? Do you want to sing about it? Do you want to create something as you are reflecting on it? How do you want to spend that time? What does that look like for you? Because when we believe that the time is standing still, when you're feeling that feeling of that just time is just, how do you want to use it? And you can choose to use it the way that you want to, the way that makes the most sense to you. And the third question I'm going to ask you to ask yourself is, how do I want to feel about this? And the way that I'm feeling, is it a problem? And if it is, why is it a problem? So when it comes to grief, we may experience anger, frustration, sadness, deep sadness. We may experience those certain emotions. And what I want to offer is, how is that emotion? How do you want to just sit and experience that emotion? What does that look like for you? Can you sit and just experience that emotion? If you sat with it, what connections would you create to yourself because you were willing to sit with it? What will that be like for you? How is this emotion, this feeling, how do you want to feel about this? And how is this feeling perfect for you? Right? Going back kind of to the original question. How do you want to feel about this? How do you want to process this feeling? How do you want to be present with this feeling? How do you want to use this feeling and remember it so as you go throughout life, you will remember this this deeper connection that you're going to have with yourself because you allowed yourself to sit with uncomfortable emotions. When it comes to loss, that is something we're all going to experience. We're not going to get around it. And what I wanted to offer you in this video is some questions that can help you open up to loss instead of contract. I find that when I was experiencing loss before, I contracted to the loss. Now that I open up to the loss, it's almost as though I feel connected and deeper to other people than I ever have before. But it took being willing to explore my own thinking and to explore, how is this perfect for me, even when it hurt, even when I felt like, how could I even ask myself that question? But wait, how is it? How am I growing from this? How is this right? I experienced this loss and I became a better person because of it. I became more of me because of it. Wow. Like, how is that happening in your life? My friends, loss is not easy. And I do believe that when you experience loss, that reaching out and getting help is a great place to start. Whether you are at the beginning of your grief or whether you are in the middle or it's been for a long time. You can always question and explore and be willing to be present with emotions in our lives. And the more that we open up to that and the more awareness we create around it, the deeper our connections become. My friends, I hope this was helpful. I hope this video can bring you hope if you're experiencing loss in your life. Because loss is going to happen to all of us, and we get to decide how we want to respond to it. And no judgment on any way that we respond to it. We're allowed to respond any way we want. We're humans. We're allowed to react, respond however we want to. And when we start to decide to take ownership of that, then we've decided to become the conduit to the power in our lives and actually create deeper connections that matter most to us. Take care of you, my friends, and prayers to you and your family if you are experiencing a loss. Take care. We'll talk to you again next week. Bye.